Good afternoon, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session, Rumination with Andrew. Thank you so much for joining as we are about to discuss a very important topical matter. Now, this afternoon, we are going to look at the state. Where are the two political parties? We know that we're heading into a general election and the emotions are high, aren't they? And the intensity of the campaign is growing. So the topic is affirmed for this afternoon. JLP versus PNP, the battle for Jamaica's future. Who is leading now? The countdown to Jamaica's 2025 general election is heating up. The two political giants, the ruling Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, and the opposition People's National Party, PNP, are locked in a fierce battle for the future of the island. In this video, we break down the latest polling numbers and what they really mean, the strengths and the weaknesses of both parties heading into the election, and key issues shaping voter sentiment across Jamaica. Will the GLP maintain its grip on power, or can the PNP stage a comeback? These are the important issues that will be dealt with in our discussion for this afternoon's program. Now, we understand that general election is constitutionally due in September, and the Prime Minister has not yet called it. And many of the PNP followers, the PNP diehards, are suggesting that one of the reasons for which Andrew Holness has not yet called the election is because he knows that he is going to get a good beating by the opposition, by the PNP. Will he? And that is the question that we're asking. But why hasn't Andrew Holness, why hasn't Dr. Andrew Holness called the election? What is allowing him to dilly-dally and to delay the calling of such an election that is creating a lot of anxiety amongst the electorate, something that we need to ask and we need to get some answers to. Now, the latest polling numbers and what they really mean, well, we know that the polls are according to whom you believe in. And whether you believe in the GLP and you're a diehard and you believe in the Blue Dot polls, or you believe in the PNP and then you believe in the Don Anderson poll. Now, what we're seeing, and I did say to you in a previous video, that in an article written by Don Anderson himself in the Jamaica Gleaner last year, he said that polls are not about politics. So you believe that polls is about politics and it's really reflecting the truth about what is happening on the political landscape. The pollster himself, the man who designs his polls, the methods, and the one who provides the results, is here intimating in the Gleaner that polls are not about politics, they are about marketability. Okay, so when you think that it is what it is and it is facts and it is truth, it is not. It is just a man's mere opinion. That is what they're doing, and they're playing with your little minds, and you think that that is so. But that is what Don Anderson has suggested, and he's right. When you look at, for example, let us look carefully, because we know that you can't have polls that are objective and the blue dots show one poll results and the Don Anderson poll shows another result. To me, that it is not objective. It is subjective, and it's according to the audience that they want to sell their news and their information to, because you want to give the diehards something, some fodder, some cannon fodder on which to build their emotions, don't you? And that is what the posters do. And don't they gain success? Yes, they have success because Jamaicans are diehards and they are partisan until we die. Very important that you understand that. So the poll numbers really do not show any level of insight. It does not provide any profound insight into what is happening on the political landscape. Now, we have here an article that was written by Gordon Robinson in the Jamaica Sunday Gleaner on July 6, 2025. GLP, PNP want reform without change. That is what he's saying, that both parties want reform without change. JLP started in this farce with a secretly appointed CRC that's inappropriately chaired by the Minister of Constitutional Affairs. And the CRC, for those, is a Constitutional Reform Committee, and a time limit for constitutional reform to be done, obviously intended to provide political advantage instead of change. PNP cooperated until it could find a valuable issue for political mileage, but not affecting the status quo. So they're playing for the master. One wants the Caribbean Court of Justice, one doesn't want it, one wants constitutional reform, but one wants to maintain the king as head of state, another wants the king to be removed completely, as what we saw in Barbados, right? So are we going to vote? We decide to vote according to Gord Robinson or not. More and more of us are deciding not to vote. So there is a level of voter apathy. According to Gordon Robinson, there is a voter revolution happening right now in Jamaica because people are not voting. It's not voter apathy he's suggesting. It is a voter revolution in where the voters are not seeing any viable option from both major political parties for which to vote. They don't see. They don't see why they have to vote, and that is what they are doing. Now we decide to vote whether whether it's the Johnson or the Blue Dot polls or the Anderson polls. We know that people are now undecided. Waller Johnson's study found that only 34% would probably vote. So only 34% of the Jamaican populace would vote in the election or will vote in the next general election. Then it called the other 66% undecided and investigated their demographics. Panderson, who he calls Don Anderson, and Blue Dot also proceed on a similar misconception that not voting equates being unable or unwilling to decide, including between JLP and the PNP. It's insulting. Some of us know we don't have a real vote. Others don't want to decide between JLP and PNP because they've decided it's 6 of one and half dozen of the other. Not one Jamaican is undecided about anything. Both political parties need to get over themselves. It's not about them, it's about the system. And that is what I have been saying. So both political parties have to understand that they have not really done much to alter and to revolutionize, to transform the system in which Jamaican political culture operates. Okay, now Gordon Robinson continued to say, unless PNP and JLP wake up to the reality that in a Jamaican society still structured and governed as it was in 1962, so we have not moved beyond 1962. And these are the issues that the major political parties have to deal with. We're still in the decade of the 1960s, aren't we? They're irrelevant, except to their sycophants. They'll wonder about undecided and call it voter apathy until Jesus returns. We've survived by ignoring politicians' puerile pattern for decades. If they continue playing the same electoral games, we'll continue ignoring them. Thank you very much. And Gordon Robinson is making here a very important point. If the JLP and the PNP want us to vote, if you want us to vote, give us something to vote for. Give us fundamental governance structuring or restructuring, accountable government, not rubber stamp parliaments, a direct vote for every political leader or representative, cancel elitist delegates, only votes for party leaders, separate cabinet from parliament. We will not invite insanity by expecting different results, despite you're doing the same things. Look in the mirror. That's what he's saying, and make a change. Look in the mirror and make a change. That is what Gordon Robinson is here suggesting. He did write some stats and give some stats in terms of the voter turnout in 1980 was, I think it was 67% of the electorate. 67% of the electorate turned out to vote in the election of 1980. Now, when you fast forward to 2020, thereabout, it was just 37% of the electorate that went out to vote. So it is corroborating what Gordon Robinson is saying, that Jamaicans need better options and they need for the system to change. And the system has not changed, neither is it willing to change. They want us to remain under the colonial system, right? They are desirous of keeping us under the colonial system where they can be the kings. The new Black leaders can be the kings and the queens over the masses of slaves and subjects. Okay, so where we are seeing now, the Blue Dot poll suggests that the GLP is ahead, probably 3 points or 4 points, whatever they say, and the Don Anderson poll is suggesting also that the PNP is ahead. So who is really ahead? We don't know, because the fact of the matter is that these pollings are very subjective and they are very party-centric. That is what we have to understand. They're not really designed in any true scientific way in which they want to ensure that the results are objective and follow the norms and the ethics of real science. But that is what they are about, and we have to understand that. Okay, so I hope that you've grasped that. Now, what are the strengths and the weaknesses of both parties heading into the election? Well, I've said it many times that the GLP, they have the media at their attention. They're very strong with the use of social media, the internet, that is the TikToks and the Instagrams and the Twitters, what you call X. They are visible. Dr. Andrew Holness has mastered, or he has someone who puts his up whatever he's doing and all the ribbon cutting ceremonies that he attends, and he's going around the island from Sundays to Saturdays. He is on the road, and he's meeting with the people, he's hugging them, and his projects, many projects he's working on. He's buying new buses, both for the public as well as for the schools, particularly the rural bus transportation system. So we can see that Andrew Holness is working on a multiplicity of projects. Roads are being built. We see Action Annie, or what's her name? Action Ann in Portland. And she's working, but I must say that she normally works. Give her credit. She always puts up, even outside of the election campaign and season, she's always putting up things and projects that she's working on. I would like to see the members of parliament, the other members of parliament in the Jamaican parliament, behave like the way that Action Ann behaved. She is energetic and she really meets with her constituents. She shows them that she cares, and she's really working with the limited resources that might be at her disposal. She's still working to improve the lives of the citizens living in Portland, and we give her kudos. I did a video on that, on Action Ann, and the terrific job that she is doing in, I think it's in East Portland. I hope that I'm not wrong. But that is a strength of the GLP. They have a lot of strengths, and that is what they control the media, and we know that the media determine public perception for the most part. People are not going to read, so they prefer to hear what they hear on TVJ or what they're hearing on social media. Even what you call independent media in Jamaica, they're controlled by the politicians. Some of them are paid, and they, design that their videos get visibility because you follow them and you think that they're telling you the truth, when what they're doing, they're also disseminating partisan information to you, and you believe that. So you are the ones who have to decide. Okay, so those are the strengths of the GLP. The GLP, okay, in addition to the strengths, we talk about the economy. The debt to GDP ratio has reduced. And the other day, Dr. Andrew Holness was speaking about the fact that he has reduced that. The PNP started this reduction of the debt, and now they have the wiggle room to be able to develop on the seeds that were planted by the PNP. So he does know what the PNP is talking about. So I guess he has a little bit of money. I don't know if he's getting that money or we're building the debt. We don't know if this election, when the dust is settled, if we will find that our debt has increased. I don't know what is happening because the media is not really reporting what is happening in the news. But you determine what is happening. I can't for you. So that's a strength in the public's eye. We can talk about also the fact that crime and violence is trending down, right? And these are the real strengths of the GLP government, according to public perception and according to what the government stats, the official government data are suggesting. So we can't counteract what they're saying because we don't have real data at our information. The PNP's, the GLP weaknesses, let us look at their strengths. So I'm looking now, I did look at the strengths of the GLP. The GLP weaknesses are, one, that we don't see the level of prosperity of which they speak. Yesterday, Andrew Holness was almost lambasting the Jamaican population for not seeing the prosperity that he's seeing. It's like he's suggesting to them that, oh, you're blind. Something is wrong with you if you're not seeing it. Okay, now, Andrew Holness, people are big enough to know whether or not they're prospering or not. They know that. You don't have to tell them. The government doesn't have to tell us if we're sick. People know when they're sick, right? You don't have to tell me if I'm sick. I feel it. I can feel it, and I'm experiencing it. And this is what Andrew Holness is doing. He is gaslighting the Jamaican people by telling them that their eyes are blind. And it's because they believe in a lack of prosperity and not Nagwan. And there is some truth to it, that there are people down there who just say not Nagwan when something can go on. But they decide that not Nagwan. But the fact of the matter is that for the most people, for the majority of people living in Jamaica, not Nagwan, because the economy is suffering from the doldrums of the policies of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, these two neoliberal institutions. So, Dr. Holness, you need to get your act together, because that is not true. Now, another of the GLP's weakness is that they really are not showing the Jamaican people, based on 10 years in office, that they are overwhelmingly popular. The polls continue to show both on both sides, whether the Blue Dot poll or the Don Answer poll, which one says is the Blue Dot belongs to GLP, and the Don Answer poll disperses, disseminates PNP propaganda. But both polls are not showing an overwhelming lead on both sides, including on the GLP side. And if the GLP were that popular as Andrew Holness is suggesting, if he had accomplished all the grand things that he says that he has accomplished, wouldn't one have thought that he would be leading? And it would also encourage people, it would incentivize people to vote for him. You would see a revolution instead of seeing in terms of voter interest, not voter apathy. But what we're seeing a revolution in voter apathy. We would not have voter apathy now because people are intelligent. If they see that Dr. Andrew Holness has created a prosperous Jamaica that they are benefiting from, they are going to ensure that the PNP doesn't come over and destroy of course, you'll have a few diehards from the PNP, but the majority of people are intelligent enough to say, I'm not going to allow the other party to come and interrupt the progress that Andrew Holness has here given us and has achieved. So I don't know what they're talking about in terms of the PNP, the GLP is this great party and prosperity, the party of prosperity. Can't be. Now, the PNP's strength, I mean, do they have any strength? I don't know if the PNP has any strength. I think the only strength that they have now is that the fact that people are suffering. Jamaicans are suffering. And they can, if they would just do what they need to do, go around the country and show us the poverty, show us the suffering of the people, and let the people speak. Instead of having dances and drinking parties, and let the people speak and let them express themselves and tell us what is happening to them and the challenges, the economic, the social, the political challenges that they face in Jamaica. If the PNP had given our citizens that platform, that voice, I think that would make their campaign very strong. But instead, they choose to go around and dance and chat all sort of nonsense. Okay, that is what they're doing, and looking like the boys, the high school boys. That's what they look like. Even Mark Golding is not looking like somebody who is ready to take the reign of leadership. He doesn't look like that. He's just going around, he's dancing and what's the song again? About the PNP song? I forgot it. But that is what he's going around and he's doing. So I would think that I don't see any strength particular of the PNP. I can't. I really can't itemize a strength of the opposition party. None whatsoever. I think their weaknesses would be that they have a weak leader. Mark Golding is not the strongest of leader. And I don't have anything about Mark Golding. I don't think he's a massa. I don't think he's un-Jamaican. I don't believe that he's white, as you're saying, he's white and he's all of that stuff. I don't believe all the nonsense and the propaganda that you dispense and you disseminate on the internet. I don't. But I don't think he is a leader, whether he was black, white, purple, you know. I don't think that Mark Golding has it in him to lead a country. I don't think. He's not a politician. He's not a politician. He has not yet really mastered. And I don't think that it is in him. It is innately in him, and neither has he been able to learn the craft of being a politician. I don't think that is his calling, if you should ask me, right? That is my opinion. Of course, don't knock me for it because it is my judgment call. Very important that you understand that. Now, another thing of the PNP, the weakness of the PNP, is that they have not presented any policies. I've been saying that they need to present some policies that are very revolutionary, stand out, and will resonate with the Jamaican people. And we can look at education. They're just adding on what or detracting from what Andrew Holness has said. So if Andrew Holness is going to implement a bus system, they say that they're going to use taxi robot, they're going to subsidize the previous, coastal buses and the robot taxis. And they just simply add and to distract from and to deflect away from what Andrew Holness is doing. That is not the call of a true opposition. They ought to show us credible plans that are logical, and coherent. And there's a lack of coherency in what the PNP say and the policies that they are crafting and formulating. So that is what I think that they need to do if they really want to win the next government election. Very important that you do that, Mr. Golding. Now, another weakness, their visibility on social media, yes, is to some extent is increasing, but we need to see more. And we need to see, as I'm suggesting, more substance. We need to see more substance. It can't just be just corruption of Andrew Holness and what Andrew Holness is doing, and he needs to go to prison. Let me say to you, Jamaicans, Jamaican politics is not designed, the system is not designed to send our politicians to prison. When has a politician ever gone to prison in Jamaica's history, particularly since our independent history? Have we ever sent a politician to prison? I don't think so. I've never heard of it. So why do you think in 2025 we're going to send them to prison? Look at what happened to Royal Reid. And Royal Reid was incentivized. Royal Reid got money from Jamaica College, from the old boys, and he got his, whether retirement, whatever package, his not retirement, but more so the severance package that he got. That was lofty and was nice. And I'm sure that Andrew Holness is taking care of him because they're friends. So they're incentivizing corruption. So I don't think that, anybody will ever go to prison. The Wheatley, the Omar Davises, the PJ Pattersons, all of them have had corruption charges, even Porteous Miller, the traffic guru, and all of these scandals that we have heard over the years, they just went by and I shall return. That's what they do. I shall return. And don't they? They return and they come and you jump up for them and you say, vote for Labour. And you jump and you carry on because you suffer from amnesia. And it is not the political culture to send our politicians who are kings and queens to prison. So you can hold your breath. Don't believe that any of our politicians will go to prison. So Mark Golding saying that, and all the other members of parliament that belong on that are on the PNP side saying that Andrew Holness and his team are going to prison because they have not declared their statutory declarations, that is not going to happen, right? That is not going to happen. Not in my lifetime, I'm sure. Not in your lifetime as well. Now, what are the key issues shaping voter sentiment across Jamaica? Now, we know that the key issues are the matter of education. The school buses really have gotten a lot, even though you have not, my video did not gain traction with you, but people have been posting videos on the school buses, and lots of videos have been posted, particularly on TikTok, about the school bus situation. So that is gaining traction. The economy is not gaining traction. People are just, suffering by emotions that, yes, the debt has gone down, but what after the debt has gone down? And has the debt really gone down? We really don't know. They're just telling us that is so, and we accept what they say, but is that really true? And we don't have investigative journalism in Jamaica. The people like the John Jackson Millers, they're just simply reporting he says, she says. There's nothing really coming out of their mouths and no investigations being done. I think I heard this politician saying the other day, I can't remember who said it, but there was not positive, but a journalist saying that nothing is ever known in Jamaica because of the secretive nature of politics. I don't recall who said it, but a journalist said it. And I was wondering, okay, you're saying it, so why don't you go and find out what is happening? With the Freedom of Information Act, don't we have a Freedom of Information Act in Jamaica? So why are we in the dark? And what is the role and the function of journalism in 2025 in modern Jamaica? Or are we archaic Jamaica? Are we not as modern? Are we really modern? I don't think so. And as Gordon Robinson did say, we are still functioning in a political system of 1960s, the 1960s. Okay, we have not moved from thence. We're still there and we're still struggling to move on. Okay, so we have to understand that. Another sentiment that, the crime and violence that has been reduced according to public perception. So that is really pushing another sentiment, pushing the general election. And these are some of the things that I think are very important for us to understand. Now, will JLP maintain its grip on power, or can the PNP stage a comeback? I think, based on what I'm seeing, and I've said on many occasions, that the JLP is maintaining a momentum that it is going to surprise me if they lose. They're not going to probably win overwhelmingly and by landslide, because many of the people are not voting, by the way, and the diehards are the ones who are voting. So we have the diehard JLP and we have the diehard PNP. But the diehards are going to bring them their victory. That is my understanding. The momentum is too strong at the moment. Andrew Holness has created a platform, and he's playing also with the minds of people by delaying the call of the election. So the election he's going to call the election when he knows he is 100% ready. And he knows that all the I's have been dotted and all the T's have been crossed. People are asking, why doesn't he call the election if he thinks he's going to win? But no leader, if having that power, is not that he should have it, but he has the power of calling the election and fixing the election date whenever he desires. So if I had that power within my hand, am I going to call the election if I think I have not dotted all the I's and have all the T's crossed? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So even if he thinks he's going to win, Andrew Holness is going to want to make sure that he is a perfectionist and that he's not making one mistake, because just one minute mistake can cause him to lose the election. So he has to look carefully at constituency by constituency, making sure that all the right people are intact. They're in place before he calls the election. So stop with the nonsense about, Andrew Holness would have called the election if he knew he was going to win, right? He doesn't know if he's going to win. That's the first thing. That's the first false premise. Another false premise is that, yes, even if he knew he was going to win, he's going to make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. People who are masters of what they do, that is what they do. If you're writing a good essay, no matter how good a writer you are, you're not going to publish your piece until you think it is perfectly written. And even if it is perfectly written, you want it to be pristine. All right? You want it to be impeccable. And that is what Andrew Holness is doing. He knows that he's also operating in a political culture that is showing voter apathy. So many of the electorate are not going to vote. So he has to try to also to reach out to the non-committed voters. And the ones who are diehard, he has to maintain that he maintains them. So they're working in a challenging political environment, right? So they can't just call election. If he's new, of course, that 65% of the electorate would be voting, then he probably would call it. But if you go and just have 27 or 30% of the electorate going to vote, then, it's not something that you can just go and call because you are not sure if you will ever win because it's going to be close because it's diehards versus diehards and it is a low, very low voter turnout. So these are some of the issues that we face, and this is the battle for Jamaica. But I think that the real battle for Jamaica should be, where do we want our country? Do we want to live in a prosperous country, economically, socially, politically? Then I think that we have to interact more with the issues and to look less at the superficial uh, things that the politicians are doing. We tend to be looking too much at polls and think that polls determine our future. This is just a gamble. Polls are a gamble. It's a gambling game, right? Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not right. Most of the times, probably they're not right. Okay, so it's like playing the lottery. And you determine, that's what politics is about. So sometimes you're right. It doesn't mean that, you're not intellectual. It just means that, that's what the stock market is about. Sometimes you know what business is, right? And you're looking at the market and you're saying, well, I think that that if I invest some stocks into this company, I'm going to, win. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's not because you're not business savvy. It's just because that these things are just game and it's gambling. So you can't determine. It depends on luck, right? It depends on share luck. So these are my thoughts. I hope that you have gleaned something. Please like, share, and comment. And make sure that you send this video along. I think at the end of the day, given our challenges and given the overwhelming and the inordinate influence that Andrew Holness has on the social media platforms and the projects on which he's working, I think that he stands. I don't think there is anything great in my perspective, from my understanding, to prevent him from losing the next general election. What do you think? Please leave your comments in the comment section. See you in another one. And remember now, those of you who like to leave your contributions, you can leave your contributions to Andy_Tucker_450 at hotmail.com. That is Andy, ANDE underscore Tucker underscore. That is Andy, ANDE underscore Tucker underscore 450 at hotmail.com. I will leave that address in the description. Thank you so much for joining. See you in another video chat.